evening. This is Anthony Sabelli, journalist of Veteran Liberty Network. Today, myself and the team, as well as others, we attended the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, the opening. I'm here with Joseph Carvino, forensic psychology major. So he actually came here as well, so we're going to ask him a few questions. So how do you think it goes?
It was very interesting, especially in regards to the jury and how they exposed that some of the jurors had financial hardship or that there was other issues within the jury. And the prosecution and the defense really went into very good aspects with the prosecutions really brought up emotion. They really brought into the emotion of the sexual abuse of that. The defense really went into the aspects of memories, false memories, how it was too much of a time gap and everything. So it's very interesting, very complex case.
So now regarding the jury dilemma today, what were some of the issues that they were facing?
Some of the issues that they were facing were, I thought there was some tactics going on that the judge was even doing and that some of the lawyers were doing with, they'll sometimes delay, like, financial hardship, I have to contact the employer. Why wasn't this done already?
Yeah, it seemed like it took pretty long.
Yeah.
I think it took about at least 2 hours, to do that. And then, what was it, right before they sorted this out? I mean, they sorted it out, and then right after they sorted it out, they took a break for lunch for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, do you recall the first witness that the government had?
The first witness, and that's where I did
That's
not.
the pilot.
But, we did see, though, outside here recently about one of the victims that was coming out of the courthouse. And so it was just a very interesting experience seeing some of that.
Would you like to harp on some of that since we didn't get to see that victim?
So this one, I don't know her name, but she was the one wearing the red hat, the dress and everything. And she kind of just dodged the press. The press is all out here, and it was very interesting. It was just very action-packed, so there wasn't much to do. A lot of people were asking questions. She didn't answer any, of course, but
So, how long do you think this trial is going to take, based on how it's going?
There's so many exhibits. So,
Well, how do you recall how many exhibits roughly?
I think, what I've heard from people were more like 2.7 million or something. So, it could take a long time, this trial, definitely. I don't know how much, but definitely, I would think maybe a year or so easily.
Now, one of the interesting things that Frank and I were talking about during the proceeding was, the fact that minors were taking trips with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and the rest of the crew. We were thinking, like, hey, what was up with these kids' parents at the time? What kind of parents would allow their children to just go away with someone? Especially from the world that we're stuck in right now, child neglect and abuse and false allegations and protracted litigation. Don't you think that's a bit odd that parents are just letting their children go take trips?
My response to this would be, I don't know, let's say, if the parents were fully aware at first of what was going on, and then the aspect of how if they did realize what was going on now and that they still continued, is very interesting given the coercive nature of the case and how Epstein and Maxwell treated these individuals.
Well, if these children were your children, would you initially send them away with a middle-aged man?
No, you wouldn't. But at the same time, this is where, if like the prosecution was saying that they, about the scholarships, about the college, about the promising a career, all this stuff. So, it seems promising, but sometimes, this is also a cover-up for a lot of that.
Yeah, it made me think about September 10th of this year, a judge in Ohio who was getting raided by the FBI, who shot himself, who was putting cameras in showers to video record little boys who their parents would allow this judge to take trips with their children. So it was like mind-boggling. But we see how these things are made possible. Being that you're a forensic psychology major, would you like to speak a little bit about false memories? And we know that there's going to be an expert witness coming in, Ms. Loftus, and I myself have been studying about false memories lately for many reasons. But could you touch a little bit about the false memories?
Where do I start? Let me start
Just the
with
concept of it.
The concept is that given such traumatic experience, such as sexual abuse, something like 9/11, something very traumatic happens, your memory is actually not able to fully recollect what had happened. And it then distorts and everything, and given time, over time, as 15, 20, 30 years, then there is definitely some questionable aspects with how the memory is constructed. Now, could it also be recollected? Could it also be, could the police, could the lawyers, could they be given questions that also try to, suggestive and all these different other tactics?
Sure.
So that's definitely an issue with memory. But where do we go from here? I think there definitely needs to be more research in memory, and a lot more of the hard science also too. It definitely needs to be more enacted. But given the aspect of memories, it's crucial to understand given a criminal trial.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the concept of eliciting false memories is very interesting, because how we see it applied and what we're very familiar with, which is what brought us all together, the family court system and custody litigation, is that when children are divulging being harmed, whether that's sexual, physical, emotional, sometimes there are these bad actors that come in to discredit the children. That's what we're seeing a lot of. So it's very interesting here that the defense is bringing in Ms. Loftus, who's very an accredited professional. And I've spent recently I spent a lot of time reading about these false memories, not only for our litigation purposes that we're personally experiencing and going through, but also for dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's. I've been researching this. Let me ask you another question. What do you think? So now when the pilot takes the stand again tomorrow, what are some of the things you would like to see them ask?
I would definitely want to see how is mainly the memory is going to be used in this case, because there could be also some very negative ways this could be used, and definitely further a lot of issues given the situation and given the traumatic injury and the traumatic abuse.
Are you able to be a little more specific about that?
In the aspect of just like everyone, like then it could also maybe make everyone question their memory and just how things have been done, and then that could maybe go down a spiral where could have some unintended consequences as to what actually is going on.
I thought it was actually pretty interesting how the defense was really overzealously trying to discredit these victims, and the fact that they were articulating that this pool of victims had been paid out and got big bucks to discredit them. I thought that was pretty interesting. Do you have a question a sec, Frank?
Oh, it's just a little cold out here right now. It's a little chilly.
Definitely.
So,
But, I think it's really mainly also, studying memory and studying the forensic psych. I'm going into it for good, but I do also know there is a lot of negative and unintended consequences that could arise. And Dr. Loftus is very prominent in the area of memory research, so I'm very curious how she's also going to be used in this case and its potential implications, because this is a very high-profile case, so how else would it impact? And there was a lot of other cases in previous history where they also used some of the memory and trying to discredit, which Anthony has said, so I'm curious how they're going to do this now.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll wrap up day one here.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Get a picture with that shirt there. Beautiful new shirts that we acquired
Yes, thank you.
with some of our community helping us out.
Thank you.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
And we would like to make more things like this possible. So if you can, please support us, share our videos. Our content can only get better. It's very competitive out here today, but I think that there's a lot of independent journalists out here. I know that Joseph has started also a podcast. You want to plug your podcast?
So the podcast is called Prisons, Policing, Abolition. It's really going into the aspect of that, we need to create a better system, because I think, given all walks of life, given all the different political parties that are out there, one thing I've seen today is that regardless of where people stand, we're fighting against the corruption. And I think that's, what people really need to start focusing on if we want to come also together as a community.
So you believe that the corruption is prevalent nationwide throughout the system?
Throughout whatever political party, yes. There's just, I think, too much corruption, and I think more people are realizing it as we go on.
Good. All right, well, thank you very much. You guys.
Well, yeah, thank you all for watching. We'll be here tomorrow once again as the U.S. attorneys continue to examine the pilot. What was the guy's name again? His first name?
It was Larry.
Larry. Pilot Larry, and I believe his last name was with a V. It's very difficult. It almost sounded like viscosity.
It almost did, yes.
So yeah, with that being said, we'll be here tomorrow again. Hopefully you can all follow us and everything, Veteran Liberty Network, and also consider supporting us. Thank you for the shirts. We appreciate it. And we hope that you have a good night.
Sayonara.